Well, welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's up, bud?
Dude, round 2. Again, batch recording weekly because we're out of our minds. Next week, we'll probably just take off.
Now we're up to New Year's.
Yeah, we're doing fine. We are going to continue our discussion with Q&A from the fans. However, first we have to hit our sponsors. Queen City Creative Works, thank you for being our continued sponsor. We appreciate you. If you want any branded gear from Buffalo Happy Hour and Queen City Creative Works, go to their website, queencitycreativeworks.com. Scroll down until you see Shop Now with our logo, Buffalo Happy Hour. There's a really nice video involved, and then you can select 3 options. You can select water bottles and black slate coasters, as well as bottle openers. Queen City Creative Works, thank you. High Peaks Imagery. If you want to take your business marketing to another level, have High Peaks Imagery arrive, and they can basically capture your establishment with a first-person drone and increase your marketing to a height never seen before, literally and figuratively. High Peaks, thank you for being a continued sponsor. And Addie's, thank you for your logo in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're not, what are you doing? Subscribe, like, comment, and if you want to be a Patreon, we have Patreons as well. So thank you for all involved in your continued support. We are doing good, great things for the community, which leads us into our first question.
I was going to say weekly recap. We recorded an episode. All right, that's it. So what's up?
Why did we start the BHH podcast? Now we have to go deep.
Yeah, we do.
Now we've done 3 Wednesday whiskey reviews.
Good time that we stopped recording on that last one, because that would have been a long one to end on if we kept going.
Pause. And 1 weekly episode is already done and in the books. So now we're starting our next weekly episode. This is like a Rogan podcast, no free shout outs. Starting on why did we start the podcast? But let's really explain why. Like, deep. Let's peel back that onion. Because our normal story of 2 friends from college always saw crazy things happening in public. If you're new here, welcome. You're fine. You're a fast learner. Keep up. 2 friends from college. We witnessed a bunch of insanity every time we hung out in public. We always made a joke about how someone should just follow us with a camera to capture it all because it makes no sense and it would be hysterical.
If you want that story, the kind of fluff, which I think you're getting at,
yeah,
that's kind of the fluff. That's not the deep reason why we started this podcast.
Right.
If you want that fluff, go to our Patreon, www.patreon.com/Buffalo Happy Hour. They have exclusive access as of like yesterday, because I didn't upload it yet, but they have exclusive access to an interview that we did with a new distillery coming out of New York called Stellarman's Folly. They interviewed us, and it was a great conversation. We will be eventually posting it to our YouTube page once we get to this point where we're so busy because work has kicked off that we didn't have time to record a special interview. So we're kind of saving that as a, I guess, last resort, if you will, when we weren't able to upload anything else. But that being said, our patrons have already been able to watch it and hear our story. So if you want to hear all the fluff as to how logistically we started it, because really that's what that conversation is how we started the podcast, go over to patreon.com/Buffalo Happy Hour. If you have access to any of the tiers, we'll make it tier whatever.
All tiers.
All tiers. $3 all the way up to $50 a month. If you want to do that, check that out. Check out our video, and that kind of goes through how we started this podcast. But now let's get deep.
Why did we start this podcast? I don't even know.
That's it. So thank you, everybody. Next question. Can you imagine if that was it? All that hype and build up for that? I don't know. All right. So what's the next question? That would have been a riot.
What do you got? Why do you think we actually started this podcast?
God. Honestly, for me, you and I have talked about this multiple times. We didn't do the typical college experience. We went to a community college, the college that shall not be named. And then after that, we went to a Catholic Franciscan college where we didn't even dorm. So, like, it was the worst college experience from bro, let's go out and party. Like, that was the worst 2 colleges to go to. But during that time, you and I both still worked. So we had an insane work ethic. And to that point, when you're working full-time, when you're going to school full-time, and when you try to have a social life, all three, it's like that triangle, like you can choose two. Like, do you want a social life and college experience? Well, you can't work. Do you want college experience and a job? Well, you don't have a social life. Like, that was the challenge back when we were in college, because we just always were grinding. For me, I think that we started the podcast, one, to reconnect, because as much as you want to say that you and I have been friends since 2011, we were, but we weren't at the same time. Like, you and I had a few years. You went to the military. Thank you for your service.
Fucking Christ.
You went to the military, and I was working, and you and I had like a 3-year gap where we would send texts to each other like, oh, yo, like, what's up? Like, how's it going? That communication would be there, but you and I never got to sit down and like chat. So I think one of the reasons that we started this podcast was for us to be able to dedicate an hour where we just talk about things that we wouldn't be able to talk about.
We're going to dedicate 1 hour and record it, and then it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Now it's a business.
But to me, I think that that's what it really was, because there's a lot of things that you can't talk to somebody else about. And even though this is getting posted to trillions of countries, it's still this intimate setting where you and I are talking to each other about our weekly recap, about what whiskey we've been drinking. It's a way for us to connect in a different situation where I don't know if that would have been available if we didn't start this podcast, because there's I can tell you right now, there's absolutely zero chance that if we didn't start this podcast, you and I would get together every single week for at least an hour to talk. I can guarantee that wouldn't happen. Life
there's
would
no
get
way.
away.
There's no way.
So at a very deep level, I think that is probably, if that wasn't the upfront reason, that was a subconscious reason as to why we did this, is because you and I realized that we were good friends and we just wanted some time together.
Upfront reason for me is, yes, I'm gay, and I chose Derek. No, I love you, man. I think
there's nothing wrong with it. Jesus, I can already hear people freaking out. Did he just say that?
Did Mike finally admit what we all knew since he was 8?
We've been talking about Gilmore Girls for the last 2 years.
Correct. As I sit here with freshly waxed eyebrows, like, surprise! So I'm the wife.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the beard's too itchy. I think you hit it on the head. Pause. That it's.
I'll do that later. But yeah, I did hit a good point too.
Correct. I think a lot of it was a way for us to just basically continue talking, and that's it. We just wanted to stay friends, and for some odd reason, you're like, he's the one that I want to go into business with, and then I said, if you're not religious, start, because you'll need God to help you through this. And so far, it's been damn near 3 years. It's going on our third year, and here we are.
So
we have to fill out a W-9. You didn't respond to that text, but we have to because of Patreon.
Yeah, but that just came out like yesterday. So Dan, shut up. We're fine. We didn't miss a tax form. We're going to be arrested.
Correct.
But why do you think we started recording it? I think from that standpoint, again, this is going to come back to our busy lives, because I think that this genuinely is why at the core we did a lot of this stuff. I was not only not seeing you, I wasn't seeing a lot of people, family that I haven't seen in a while, friends that I haven't seen in a while, and recording it and putting it online and putting it on Facebook is a way for people that I haven't been in touch with for a while, because I've been so busy, to hear what's going on in my life.
My sister told me, I know more about you and what you're up to because of the podcast, outside of because I'm able to talk to you whenever.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah. Like, that's, I don't know if that's a good thing.
One of my best friends, Steve, he just moved down to Columbus, and right now, I haven't talked to him. Like, he's coming up for my the weekend before my birthday, and I'm super excited. But other than that, I mean, we have lives. It's hard for me to sit down, pick up the phone, and text somebody all the time. I've even stopped texting you a lot because I'm so busy. I feel like I'm just so overwhelmed with work, with editing, with everything. It's just been so busy lately.
Well, buzz, bitch, because I'm still here. So.
I like how you prefaced your one text. You're like, hopefully your phone is on vibrate because there's a lot coming through right now. So Steve texted me and he's like, dude, like that was a good podcast episode. It's cool that you're doing that. And it's a way for me to inadvertently communicate with people that I've just been way too busy to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing against anybody. Like, it's not like I don't want to talk to you. It's that I physically don't have time. And doing this helps bridge that gap. And if people even from like high school, have you ever talked to anybody that you haven't talked to since high school and they're like, I follow your podcast?
Yeah.
It's like, do you really?
Mm-hmm.
It's been 11 years since we graduated. 12 years since we graduated high school.
Math.
There's people in high school that are like, I know what you're up to because of the podcast. And to me, that's cool. Clearly, I'm just super self-centered and I want everybody to know what I'm doing because I'm just a super important individual. But at my core, I think that's the reason probably why we started this is because it's a way for us to talk and for people to hear our lives because we're so busy. And outside of that, if we didn't do this podcast, I would still be super busy.
Correct.
And then no one would know what we do.
Yeah.
No one still knows what we do.
Correct.
There's some dude in Spain that listens literally every week that has no idea who we are. We don't know who he is, but he gets enjoyment out of listening to this.
What's insane too is, and for all we know, it might be a female.
True.
The crazy thing
Wrong for you to assume.
is there's people making sacrifices as we speak while we record this because they're not spending time with us.
Mm-hmm.
Which is insane to think about. Like, I could be home with my wife right now, but I'm choosing to talk to, again, surprise. Like, I just feel connected. It's just insane, but that's life. And, you know, Gina and Colleen both understand it's just what they do. Mm-hmm. To also be fair, they advised us before we even bought the equipment. Like, hey, Derek and I are going to do a podcast. Thoughts. The only feedback was don't stop.
Right.
Like, if you're going to do it, then do it. Like, oh, Raj. And then it's been 3 years every week through burnouts, and now we're...
Every single week we've uploaded.
Yeah.
Since we started in 2019.
Which is insane.
So the reason why... What would you say the reason is why... Is there an underlying reason why we started interviewing businesses, or was that more of a opportunistic approach?
It's us saying yes.
Yeah.
It's just us saying yes. And it allowed us to pivot, get through a global pandemic, which nobody thought was going to happen. And the intestinal fortitude that we executed on allowed us to grow while a lot of other podcasts suffered and or just completely folded. So having that consistent upload schedule and work ethic to just fight through something that nobody has ever fought through allowed us to get to the point that we're at, which is weird because we're not big.
Yeah.
But we're big. So it's very strange to wrap your head around that because it doesn't make sense.
We have to realize now we're a big fish in a small pond in like local podcasting.
But analytically, I don't even know if we are.
We are. I'm telling you right now, we are.
It's weird.
It is. It's very weird. We're getting reached out to not to like pat ourselves on the back, but constantly by businesses like, are you coming out? You want to come out? You want to hang? Like,
yeah.
We're at that point. We are so funny because we are the most self-critical people that we will ever meet,
mm-hmm.
and we don't like celebrating our successes. But we have so much coming up that it's hard for us to look at this and not realize who we are.
It's strange when you hear another business talk about the financial back end of how a podcast that we've built from nothing has helped them, and hearing the real numbers behind that makes you nauseous. Like, yeah. I'm sorry, because last I checked, there is none of that. There's not even a comma in our bank account.
Right.
But you're talking about that? Like Comma Club? Like, what are you talking about right now? And for us, it's like that, to be fair, we don't care because it's not RMO. Like, we're not doing this for money. clearly, because we're like the most unsuccessful business in the history of New York State, and New York State's like, guys, you gotta
Even New York
figure
State's
out a
feel
way.
bad for us.
Yeah, you gotta find a way to make money if you're a business. And we're like, free advertising. So it's fine. Changes are coming. But it's fascinating where that's the conversation now. I mean, thanks to Tom for making the logo, I guess.
I will say the other reason why, like, deep down we started the interview aspect of it is because if you couldn't tell, Mike and I are literally diehard Buffalo. I mean, we've talked about moving multiple times, and we just have not because we love the city. And the interviewing aspect, it was opportunistic the way that it came about, but we stuck with it because we realized that somebody needs to be here promoting small businesses for free. The marketing aspect of somebody paying for marketing is astronomical. And we saw that gap as we love Buffalo, we love small businesses, we want to continue supporting them. How can we help them without charging them anything by just having a conversation? So that's kind of a mix of fluff and the reason why, because honestly it's both, which is why we started interviewing them, but also kind of the fluff as to how we started interviewing them. So just wanted to point that out there.
I agree.
I agree.
Next question.
Next question.
A foreigner comes to America.
Get out.
Foreigners. I know. They've never had bourbon, and you're advising them on one bourbon to try in order to experience what Kentucky bourbon is all about. I say again, Kentucky bourbon.
I would probably stick with the answer that I had for the other one, which is Weller. Probably Weller 12.
I'd go Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Next question.
Well, why would you say why would you say Buffalo Trace? I mean, we're basically both right because Buffalo Trace makes both of them. But
I know.
Why would you go Buffalo Trace and not Weller? Or why would I go Weller and not Buffalo Trace, I guess?
For me, price point. Second, I would go tasting profile. Third, versatility. And
that's a good reason. Versatility.
Yeah. And it just kind of fully encapsulates Kentucky.
And I guess more of a... Obviously, I like Weller much better than Buffalo Trace, but if you're looking at it from a versatility standpoint and an ease of access standpoint,
yes.
Buffalo Trace is definitely easier to find, and you're not going to get destroyed by prices. So I do like your answer. I just feel from a quality standpoint, if you want to encapsulate everything Kentucky is, Weller is just an amazing, amazing product, which with a ton of history too. I mean, if you want to sit down with a foreigner from the country and from another country and say, this is how Weller came to be, that would be a fantastic story into having somebody understand the whiskey culture in America.
You could also go Stag Jr.
You could also go Stag Jr. and Pappy. We shit on Pappy all the time because it's not a good, like, it's not worth the price point. But the Pappy story too is insane.
Correct.
So Kentucky, this is also going back to that last episode too. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, go back and check that out. But Kentucky bourbon does have its flaws because of its consistency around all distilleries, but it does offer a sense of history and unity when it comes to the bourbon culture because everybody knows what Kentucky bourbon is.
Yeah.
And there's a story behind it because it's so deep before even America was a country. Like, that's sweet. Next question.
Bad news. You've been caught for your crimes. Ironically, littering.
Wouldn't happen. I don't litter.
You're goddamn right. That's why I gut my gum. You're on death row. You must have littered something real intense. Maybe uranium that Hillary couldn't buy.
Yeah, who's going to death row for littering?
You're granted a final meal. I mean, technically, John Gracie littered bones in his crawl space, so there's that.
Yeah.
Anyways, you're granted a final meal. It can be any meal from any restaurant. What is the meal, and what whiskey do you pair with it?
I'm going to go full Ron Swanson here, and I'm going to go steak and potatoes with a Lagavulin 11. Or Lagavulin 16. That's what I'm doing. Was that what you were going to say?
Okay, so Timothy McVeigh, he blew up Oklahoma, the government building.
Yeah.
He's also a Buffalo native. Anyways, his final meal
You
was
see that on the most prominent people of Buffalo miniseries.
chocolate mint chip ice cream was his
cool.
final meal.
Solid. Wasn't there
Random-
one random inmate that was like, I want a child? And you're
Random.
like, what?
Oh, goodness gracious. One useless fact for this episode is that. So, chocolate mint chip was his final meal wish. My final meal would probably be a combination of all courses.
I don't know if you can do that.
Of course you can. Most people get like McDonald's and lobster and all this nonsense and they just like bring it in. It's your final meal. It doesn't have to be just a burger and fries. That's if you want it to be. Never deny a guest even the most ridiculous request. I gotta keep the SpongeBob quotes going. So, my final meal would be a breakfast piece. I'd go with waffles because I just effing love waffles. Waffles are my jam. Over pancakes. I'm a waffle over pancake guy. I like the little squares that I can fill with butter and syrup. So I would start with waffles. Then I would go to like an appetizer. So I'd probably get wings, get 10 wings. And then I would go to a actual course. Final meal would probably be a turkey club for lunch. Like a half turkey club. Then the next course, this is just one tray, just like little samplers. It's a giant sampler. Then for dinner,
How are you going to pair a whiskey with this, though?
cause dude, what? I drink whiskey at 5:30 in the morning. That's not a bad.
I feel like you're missing the whole point of this.
At first, I'm a foodie, bro. I'm starting with food. Then I'll get to my drink. So, what are you beeping? What are you doing?
I already beeped.
Yeah, what are you fixing over there?
You're clipping, bro.
Well, some juice. I'm talking about food. I was a fat kid once. We'll talk about it next week when we batch record again because we're insane.
Well, we're going to talk about weirdest death row last meals next week because I just found a list that's had 9 of the weirdest, and the first one was an olive with a pit left in. I'm going to leave it there because you got to tune in next week for this discussion because it's going to be off the chain.
So off the rails. So for dinner, I'd go with a steak because I'm not a barbarian or a communist. So go with a nice rare T-bone. No, tomahawk.
Yeah, tomahawk.
Tomahawk. I'd go with a rare tomahawk, and I would pair that with a really nice scotch.
Yep.
So I would most likely go with a French Oak Reserve 15-year. And then for dessert, I got to make the cheesy dad joke. Other than my wife, I'll have most likely go with ice cream. Now, which ice cream is the topic of discussion? Do I go soft chocolate or do I go...
Can't go soft chocolate as your last
Why?
because
It's a spot every
everybody's.
time, bro.
It's everybody's, though.
Soft chocolate?
Yeah. Be original.
I might go chocolate panda paws.
Oh, there you go. That's solid. I like that choice. See, now aren't you happy you didn't choose soft chocolate? I have soft chocolate or chocolate panda paws.
Right.
Exponentially better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So crush that, and that would be a half gallon because, in 3 hours I'm dead, so I don't give a shit what my insulin levels
You're literally
are.
going to shit all that out.
Correct.
You're going to give the
On
person
table.
cleaning up
Yeah.
like crazy.
You're like, it sucks to suck, nerd. Send me the juice.
Also, I'm lactose intolerant. Let's go.
I may be dead, but it's gonna smell worse in here than my rotting
you're gonna
corpse.
want to die. You're gonna you're gonna want to be on this table. Yeah, mine would just be a tomahawk steak, perfectly cooked. That is medium rare for me because rare, I can sometimes get behind rare, but my perfect steak is medium rare. You put that thing in a cast iron skillet, you put some hard black pepper on there. I mean, I'm talking spicy steak. That's what I want. With a little bit of garlic, you basin the steak with garlic and then just pairing that with a Lagavulin 16, man, I'm going to have that tonight.
Well, I don't know. It's
Go wait.
It's like yawn through that
no,
sentence. It's
what is it,
7:15.
10 o'clock at night?
No, it's 7:15. We're doing good. All right. Next
We started
question.
recording at like 2 p.m., so.
Hilarious. No, actually, what time did I get here? 5?
Yeah.
All right. Bad news. Whiskey's now illegal. And as a law-abiding citizen, you must pick a new alcohol of choice. What is it? Give me alcohol or give me death.
Alcohol or spirit of choice?
Live free or die. New alcohol of choice. What is it? So like vodka gin route? Like is that what?
I'm thinking beer too. Beer's alcohol.
Yeah, I'm not.
But yeah,
I don't want no Kelly
Let's
Belly.
do spirits. Let's stick with what's your spirit of choice, not alcohol. Because I'm not doing mead. Like I'm not saying mead because I want to be feminine.
I'm also not
I'm
saying
not doing beer. Yeah,
I'm also not saying beer.
but I like beer.
Me too, but I'm not going to just drink beer the rest of my life.
You'd rather drink vodka the rest of your life than beer?
Or gin because of cocktails. I don't like bloating after beer. I feel like trash after beer.
That's why you have a PBR and burp it all up. Yeehaw!
Every time a PBR opens, Fortunate Son plays in the background. Eagles fly high. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. smiles at you.
They make a whiskey now.
PBR?
Yeah, an unaged whiskey.
Anyways.
Probably trash. It probably tastes just like their beer.
I'd probably go gin because a gin martini, dirty, that's a boss move.
Yeah, I would probably do the same. I mean, no free shout-outs, but Lockhouse Distilling with their barrel-aged gin is so good.
And it's versatile.
It's very versatile.
Yeah, you can make a lot of different cocktails with gin. So I'm going to go gin on that.
And there's a lot of different flavor notes in gin, too. Like, in variants, vodka is for rich women on diets. It's just not good.
Or Eastern Europeans that just want to, I don't know.
And it's gross. Like, if you're going to get flavor in there and you're going to inject artificial whipped cream and call it whipped vodka, you're a serial killer. But you can do some different botanicals for your gin that taste so good. Like if you compare Lockhouse barrel-aged gin.
That botanicals, baby.
Lockhouse barrel-aged gin and Clonakilty Menke gin, two completely different gins, completely different flavor profiles. It's basically like clear whiskey.
Right.
It would definitely be gin for me.
Gin for me
What
as
about
well.
tequila?
No.
No? You don't like tequila?
No, I don't want to.
Guy?
No, I'm not. I don't want to start a drug cartel, and I don't know what's going to happen when I black out. So I'm good. And
What about wine?
I'm
Could you
not
choose
doing
wine?
rum. You could do wine. I also bloat and feel terrible after a lot of wine, and I feel the same after how was it? Rum. I feel awful after rum.
What about like canned cocktails? If
No.
you can only do canned cocktails the rest of your life.
No.
I'm telling you, we'll talk about this maybe next week, which is in an hour, but talk about the interview that I had with Raphael Anzuloni.
Oh yeah, we got to. How was that?
Amazing.
Okay, good.
It was such a good episode.
I can't wait to watch it because I wasn't there.
Yeah, I know, really.
It's gonna be
Spoiler
weird.
alert.
All right. Next question.
So gin for both of us. The
Yeah,
answer is,
gin. What got you into bourbon? Was it a particular bottle you had where you realized you liked it?
So I think we talked about this maybe like 2 years ago. What got me into bourbon was a Silverstein song called Vices, and the line within the song is called 7-7 with a lime will keep me safe. And there I'm like, 7-7, what's that? So it's Seagram 7 and 7-Up, and that was my first cocktail that I had with whiskey in it. So that kind of got me experimenting. Is this specific to bourbon or just whiskey in general? Because I don't know if I ever.
Bourbon.
No, well, I'm just doing whiskey in general. And then I think my first actual whiskey that I had was Steve bought it for me for my birthday, and it was McClellan's, not Macallan, McClellan single malt. And it was not, it's like a budget scotch. Super Isla, very peaty,
Okay.
very smoky. It set me off for a while. And then Tom started bringing over rum, so we just switched to rum after that. And then at some point, I switched back to whiskey. And I'm honestly not sure what bourbon got me back into drinking whiskey. Do you know? Do you know what bourbon got you into it? I can't remember a time where I had bourbon or another whiskey after that. I think obviously it had to happen because now I don't drink anything else besides bourbon or whiskey.
I don't remember the specific bottle. I just remember the story that got me into whiskey, and I also remember the first time I had Buffalo Trace.
What was that time?
I was in my brother-in-law's apartment. He poured it for me with an ice cube, and I tried it with him, and I was like, wow, like, that's a lot for me right now and my palate, and I don't really know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine. Didn't get obliterated or whatever. And then I was like, okay. And then that was kind of like the introductory of palatizing and trying to figure out what was going on. But the story for me for whiskey starts because I grew up with and around Jack Daniel's, vodka, and Jameson. So, and Guinness. For me, Jameson was my gateway drug into the industry. So, getting after it. I deployed to Ukraine, found a whiskey bar in Ukraine, Vietnam vet, senior NCO.
Thank you for your service.
Shut up. Took me to the whiskey bar as a way to decompress because he saw that I was basically reaching a breaking point with bandwidth in my brain, and it was a lot. Hours were long, work was tough, quote unquote tough, right? Different kind of deployment, different kind of environmental factors, different types of stress. It wasn't a combat deployment, but it was a deployment nonetheless that had a lot of different variables that were affecting a lot of people differently. So anyways, we go to the whiskey bar, and I was having Jameson and ginger and decompressing, and that was what really helped me. Mm-hmm. And then also Jameson and Pepsi, I think I was having randomly. That was like towards the end of the night. And again, this was before I got into whiskey. So now I like throw up thinking about it. From there, I went to Jameson Neat, and then I started experimenting with different like Protestant whiskeys, Irish whiskeys, and like going through the whole realm of what they had because they had an insane selection. What I want to do is go back there because Lviv didn't really get hit yet. Lviv didn't really get hit the way that other cities have. Yeah. So if we're able to go back, that would be incredible because their selection's awesome and the bartender Max is a savage. So I tried Red Spot, Green Spot, all the different things, and that bloomed me into wanting more. So that's what got me into it. Specific bourbon, it may be Buffalo Trace because that's what I remember, but it might be another one as well. Basically, we just didn't stop. Right. Both of us, we just didn't stop. We fought through it. We just gritted through it, and we're like, I gotta find something that like hits a spot that I can enjoy where I don't feel like trash after.
You know what? I think I remember now. Back when I was 2015, I used to go to JP Fitzgerald a lot. That tells you my mental set down in that time. Yeah, I know. That was a rough time of my life. But during that time, I was hanging out with my friend, and I was drinking a lot of Red Bull vodkas. Because I'm like, I want to die young.
Yeah, you want a heart attack.
I want a heart attack.
Yep.
And at some point, I'm like, you know what? I know this isn't good for me. Mixing a stimulant and a depressant is not good for me. So I think I ended up switching to whiskey Coke and getting into cocktails that way.
Jack and Coke was a thing, too.
Jack and Coke, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think my transition to straight whiskey happened at a wedding of my friend John. Yeah, I know, super generic name, probably made up. But I went to his wedding.
Probably adopted.
And the bartender had no idea how to make an old fashioned when I asked him to. And when I told him to make an old fashioned, he made it, and it was absolutely atrocious. It was the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life. And to this day, I would rather drink a bad whiskey neat than drink a cocktail with terrible
craftsmanship
and proportions. Yeah, because a cocktail with bad proportions tastes absolute garbage.
It's trash.
So after that, I think he made me a cocktail, an old fashioned with Jim Beam, because that's all that they had. So after that, I went up the next time and I said, I'm not having the cocktail anymore. Just give it to me neat. And I think that is the gateway that got me into trying whiskey neat, now that I'm thinking about it. So John, thank you. He doesn't listen. I don't talk to him anymore.
Jesus.
But yeah, I think that's what actually got me into it.
Okay.
Look at that. That's a little
history.
Little moment for me.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't realize that.
There you go.
Thank you all for joining. Episode 139. Tune in next week.
For the rest of your life, you have to drink the same whiskey, and it has to be $25 or less. What is it?
$25 or less? Okay, so Devil's River's out. Oh, God. It's got to be $25 or... I don't even know many whiskey out there for $25.
Can we go 30?
Yeah, because that... Well, no, because that would be too easy. Because I don't just say Devil's River small batch. Next question.
Or even the rye.
Yeah, but we can't do that. Go.
That's what the people want, Derek. What do you want me to say? Mellow yellow? Ew, dude. Mellow yellow corn?
David.
Ew, David. Where are we, David?
Can I cheap out and say like a 375 milliliter Buffalo Trace? Dad joke.
That's incredible. What about 12 Trees?
No, that was so bad. Something under $20.
Our single barrel at cost. Just kidding.
Right? Still over 20.
Yes, it is.
Was it under 20 or under 30?
Under 25.
Under 25,
I'm
right.
struggling really hard with this because everything is basically $30 or less.
Yeah. Or more, you're saying.
Does a gift count? Because technically we didn't spend any money.
Right. I'm trying to think of the trash whiskey we have in here right now.
I don't even have an answer for
Honestly,
that.
it would be Mellow Corn. I didn't hate it. It wasn't the best thing I ever had. It's 100% straight corn whiskey. So it was literally 100% corn aged. It was decent.
What
but
if
outside of 20, I mean, under $25, I don't know, Cask and Crew, maybe their regular shit.
What about a Wilderness Trail that fell off the shelf and broke? So it's only like a couple
We're just there with a
drops.
straw. I'll pay you $20 for this. I mean, honestly, if we're being truthful about it, I would probably say Devil or Cask and Crew. They have just a regular whiskey, right?
Walnut toffee is like one of their flavors that's $25.
Well, yeah, but they have walnut toffee, they have ginger spice, they have orange peel, and they have a rye something. And I think the rye was 25 or something like that.
they're all 25. Pull that up. Because I don't, they got options. I just want to be liked. Because
Oh, don't they not sell that anymore? Oh no! What did what's her face message us? Because I thought she messaged us about something of them not selling anymore.
Cask and Crew,
Yeah,
they have to.
or
Their
maybe
products
it
are
wasn't.
everywhere.
Maybe it was the rum that we did. They didn't sell anymore.
That's right. The Navajo aged 18 years.
Yeah, they don't do that. So they have ginger spice, orange roasted whiskey, walnut toffee, and original rye. Yeah.
I
And
barely
then they
remember.
had their double oaked straight rye, which was expensive. It was good. But how much is their original rye?
I barely remember the original rye.
I'm trying to find how much that is.
I would
because
go walnut toffee.
That would probably be mine. I get it. But I
Plus
don't know
my
if I could do a flavored whiskey for the rest of my life, dude.
Well, it's $25. I know that. I don't. That's why I'm struggling. Derek.
Roasted rye blend. Okay, come on. Best value. What are you doing?
Is it best value or great value? They're selling it at Walmart now?
Right.
What is happening?
See, we're getting to Costco. That's cool, right?
Wait, what?
We're getting to Costco here.
Oh, yeah. In the snooty North Towns.
Well, yeah, but
You're going to drive 40 minutes to pick up a bag of chips?
well,
Stop the nonsense.
they do alcohol, but not in New York State because New York State sucks. I always see people posting about how
Costco's got a great selection.
great, like, cheap selection.
Sick. I'm glad New York State's just like, nah, fam. We don't want that added sales tax revenue.
Then our boys over at Addie's wouldn't be able to stay in business, though. If you could start putting it in grocery stores, you know? Cask and Crew.
I mean, technically, Wegmans owns a liquor store.
Wiegmans.
Yeah. Wegmans.
All right, your search produces your results. So that experiment is over.
All right. Sounds
so for
good.
the sake of this argument, we're going to say Cask and Crew rye because I'm pretty sure if it's not $25, it's like 27.
So I'm going to go with
And I'm
walnut
saying
toffee
that,
for
yeah.
Cask and Crew. They're out of Rochester if
I'm gonna go
anybody
rye
wants.
blend.
Yeah.
I think that's solid.
I think it's a good pick. I don't know what's
I mean,
wrong
they're
with
really
it.
stretching our budget thin here.
I know. 25?
If I have $25 to spend on whiskey the rest of my life, I'm saving up 2 months in a row and getting something better. That's what I'm doing.
So, last question from the fan. Okay. Well, fans, because there's been a bunch from all over. Where is... Here we go. Okay. The last one. You're in public and you see someone litter. What do we do? This just happened to me, so I know what's going to happen.
It all depends on what I'm whereabouts. I saw this video online and I loved it, where some dude rolls down his window of his car, he throws trash out the window and he rolls his window back up, and then some dude's walking by, he grabs the litter that he just threw out the window, knocks on the dude's door, he rolls down the window, he throws it back in the car and walks away. If it was a car situation, I could 100% see myself doing that. If we're walking and I'm behind somebody and I see them litter, I would probably yell something at them. Like, oh yeah, let's just destroy this earth and then pick it up and throw it on myself. That's probably what I would do. More like a passive-aggressive approach. I'm not going to go over there and slug them in the side of the face. What would you do? Kick them? Throw your shoe at them? Like somebody did at George Bush during a press conference? Is that what you're doing over here?
That was in China, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was weird, dude. And he had reflexes like Neo from The Matrix. It was sick. Yeah, he just dodged. Can you imagine if somebody threw a shoe at Biden?
All right. I was walking Sam the other day, and I watched a human being. Some would classify it as a man. I classify it as a human being because it deserves to just not exist after what it did.
They who will not be named.
Took their garbage, walked up the sidewalk because they were in a parking lot, so they went to the curb, basically, to the storm drain, and dropped their garbage into the storm drain. And I'm with my dog, and I'm listening to things through AirPods, and I look at him, and I'm like, I should go off right now. Like, I should skull this human being and just, like...
Curb stomp him.
Yeah, do push-ups until I'm tired type thing. And I did nothing. And I was so mad. But he knew...
At yourself?
Yeah. He saw me, I saw him, and I just stared at him, and that was enough. But it wasn't enough for me.
Yeah.
Like, I walked home. Like the 45-year-old mom that lives in an affluent area walks during the day with her neighbor friend who's also the same age.
Kathleen, yeah, I know her.
Yeah. Kathy and Shannon are on their like 1 p.m. walk while the husbands work.
Yep.
Yeah. He knew that he messed up just from that look.
You know when we go to Hamburg, Gina and Colleen are going to be those walkers, right? Just saying. Okay, continue.
The crazy thing is that you think I'm moving to Hamburg.
That's true.
I want to, but I don't know if it's feasible because of my job.
You're fine. Continue.
Secondly, I wanted to go off, but I'm thinking about going home and feeding my dog, and the potential of this dude might be actually insane. And if I throw down, where's my dog going to go? Mm-hmm. So I had to take all that into consideration, and it bothers me to this day that I didn't at least just scream across the street. Ideally, to answer the question, I want to make an absolute fool out of that person, belittle them to the point where they feel like they're 2.5 inches tall because they're also carrying around something that's 2.5 inches in length, and then just literally drive home the point that it's just pure and utter laziness that happens. Mm-hmm. At work, it's interesting because there's individuals that smoke sometimes, and towards the middle of the day when all the guys go out to their job sites, I still see a couple cigarette butts on the ground. So now I'm vocalizing like, hey, is that yours? To the current smoker. And the response is always like, no, I put mine in the thing. Like, okay, well, smokers pick up after smokers. Like, I'm not having people that don't smoke pick up cigarette butts and throw them out. Like, smokers will do that. So that's now the message being communicated. And I'm dealing with civilians, and I struggle really hard with that because that's a thing. So, like, finding a grenade at work and not calling the cops because I'm used to that, but apparently it's a big deal. Like, what? Insurance doesn't cover it. Well, generally, where insurance stops, the fun begins. So, right. Whatever. Chuck in the river. I don't know. It's fine. So, end of the day, it wasn't a live grenade. So, relax. YouTube commenters. But people need to just not litter. Stop being lazy. Stop being pieces of garbage, figuratively and literally, and just take care of yourself and Mother Earth because it's just pure laziness.
What are you carrying around that you have to litter in the first place?
Well, even it's as simple as a gum wrapper. Like,
Put it in your pocket. It's not going to cause issues.
They don't want to carry it.
It's not causing room.
Pure laziness.
And if you're walking around with a Nestle's ice cream cone wrapper, what are you doing walking around the streets with that ice cream? Just throw it out.
You can't use logic.
I just don't
Derek.
understand.
Common sense is not common.
I just don't understand.
I know. So that was Q&A part 1, people. We split it in half for episode 1 and 2.
This is part 2, actually.
Well, it's the first Q&A we've done, but we split it
part
up
one
into
of
2
part two.
parts. Yeah.
Get
So
with it, everyone.
we're gonna go eat food because it's been like, I don't know, eons, and I gotta eat. So enjoy thy evenings. Remember, we will be back next week because we're insane and we're not gonna stop. So just go enjoy parts of our business sponsors and then go on their websites and check them out, see what they're doing. Go follow them on social media. Follow us on social media if you have not already. If you want to become a Patreon member, just download the Patreon app. We have a ton of different tiers. Follow us on all the social medias, the Book of Faces, the Instagrams.
We might be back on Twitter now that Daddy Musk owns it.
I hope he walks in and fires everybody. And then we will see you next week. So everyone, listen to Derek for the final outing, and cheers.
Let us know in the comments below. Do you have other questions for us that maybe we didn't get to answer? Because we can do this again in the future. So let us know. Please remember to always drink responsibly, be a good person. And Michael, your favorite phrase. Let's go.
Don't litter.
We're out.